Gee, very much in the card. Thomas Natasha. You're in good form this morning. I hope you are. I hope you're in very good form. And thanks so much, particularly to Jackie, for asking me to be part of this very, very special day. And it's good to see so many men and women here. Just looking at that contribution that philanthropy can make in our lives, to our lives, to the texture of life. And in particular, I like the theme of today's conference, that focusing on realising the power and potential of women in philanthropy. John and I were just discussing as we were coming in here the current malaise, economic malaise, and making the point to each other. I'm sure it's a point that many of you have made. It was pretty much testosterone driven. I just let that thought sit with me and backtrack a little bit, because the past century has been one really of attempting step by step, painstakingly, to reveal the power and potential of women in just so many different spheres of life. Spheres from which they were routinely excluded by a kind of a toxic amalgam of cultural norms, of stereotypes, of laws, of attitudes. And that's the pulling apart of that toxic amalgam, very well glued together, may I tell you, as many of us know, over centuries, distilled and fomented over centuries. The pulling apart of that toxic amalgam, the letting of fresh air through it, and the dismantling of it, it's still a major work in progress. It's still, we are still only in the opening chapters of that work, of that major work. And we have to remind ourselves, we still have not yet reached, the 100th anniversary of women achieving the right to vote. It's still touchable. There are still people around, who were born at a time when that argument was still ongoing. We've just passed the 100th anniversary of the admission of women to Trinity College. Trinity College is 400 years old, but we've just passed the 100-year mark of the admission of women. And if you remember back then, well, you wouldn't actually remember back then, but the stories, sorry ladies, I didn't mean to insult you this early morning, but back then the great intellectuals of the day, among them the provost of the college at the time, said that over his dead body would women get into the college, and thankfully that's exactly what happened. And everything that he said would happen did happen. He of course described them as a danger to the men. That's absolutely true, not half as dangerous as the men were to them, let me tell you, subsequently. But it's still, it's still touchable, it's still tangible, it's within the realm of memory of people that we know, our grandmothers, our mothers, our people of a generation that still who drew that into their experience. 90 years ago, at Cambridge University was still arguing the toss about whether they would let female undergraduates attend university lectures. We're talking small numbers here in the history of humanity. And that restriction of women, which resulted in them really being corralled largely into the domestic sphere, allied to the very strong antipathy at the very highest levels until recent times to the education of women, that just had a massive, colossal breaking effect on the achievement of women, on the influence of women in so many spheres, whether it's business, the arts, politics, religion, and we see the legacies are still evident all around us, the baleful legacies evident still all around us. And so the opportunity, I suppose, for women to make the serious kind of money that can fund, in turn, serious philanthropy was quite limited. Mostly limited to money made by their husbands or their fathers, though there are numerous examples in Ireland and elsewhere, particularly among the foundresses of religious orders, of wealthy women who used their resource, the resource that came to them by virtue of the lucky chance of being born into wealth, to create what was a really very powerful philanthropic initiative, very often put at the service of the education of women or at the service of care for the poor. And in many, many ways, they were the first and the noblest of Ireland's women philanthropists, those early pioneers in the field of healthcare and education. They were also, very interestingly, because of the vision they had and the freshness of what they were doing, they were able to leverage a huge resource from within the community, other people who gathered to offer, whether it was donating time, donating their lives, donating their giftedness, or donating money, that helped really create opportunities for women long before we got second-level education free in this country. Long before it, the opportunity that was available to women only came really down through that resource. That resource that was offered very often as a direct result of wealthy women making a commitment of their money. They saw the need, they saw the cause. It was not a cause, incidentally, that was popular, but very often they were the people who did the thing that was regarded as outrageous and created the opportunity. So they transcended those very dark days of the routine oppression of women. Those days, we know, are disappearing thanks to the work that people like you are doing. The equality agenda, it's still far from complete, we know, but nonetheless it is already radically altering the contributions that are made in every sphere of life in Ireland by women, opening up more and more space all the time. And among those spaces that is opening up is the space of philanthropy. For now we have, of course, significant cohort of independent, highly educated, high-achieving women, and they are considerably less rare